Today, I want to talk with you, honestly, with young people that feel disconnection between them, their family, between them and their peers and society in general, even in work environments, universities, schools, and whatnot. And especially to those people and those young people that feel the sense of worry and this fear, this feeling of fear towards the future. And honestly, I want to start with telling you a story, giving you some of the backstage of what it means to never meeting your biological dad. That's what happened to me, and that's what happened to my family. I won't go into the details. I don't think that's helpful to you. But what is helpful is the frame that I think, in a healthy way, I've been able to build around this experience. And I believe to this day that this is the single greatest experience that has made me grow so much, and that has given me a mantra of life that it's probably going to help you with this feeling of nihilism, this feeling of worry and fear towards the future. So now the question of how can you transform what's given to you into an opportunity of growth? And for me, this treasure of never meeting my dad has been basically a personal experience of alchemy, of trying to transform something that was inherently terrible for my family into something that an ideal that I strive to build for my life. So I could basically fill this void and fill this gap of neglect and also of loneliness into something meaningful, and so that propels me forward. And how can I share this? I've seen basically the damage of this experience of somebody not taking responsibility for their family and leaving my mom and me. I was still in the belly. But yeah, if I had to explain visually how it felt and how it was, I was basically in a slow-mo looking at the damage of that this experience caused to the family, without being the direct subject of it, but being a witness of what was happening. And so throughout my young years and my adolescent years, I've seen people come and go, and I was spending time with multiple people, but never there was a time where I really got listened to and people were getting to meet Dylan. And so throughout my young years, I basically spent a lot of time alone in my bedroom and listening to my own thinking and looking at, reading, studying, and doing, what I wanted to do in terms of entertainment. But I was lost. I was alone into this. The feeling of family was very unstable, and so the time spent with people around me, with family members, was a bit weird. The energy was a bit strange around all of this. But when I was 12, I also lost my last grandparent, so I couldn't even spend too much time with elderly people in family. And so I spent the rest with some uncles and my mom a little bit. But most of my time after this experience as a witness, looking at what was happening and maybe even being a bit lonely and misunderstood when I was really young, I then spent my adolescent years alone in my room. So honestly, if I had to even describe more of what I was feeling, I was basically nobody really met Dylan. Nobody really understood me or talked with me, got to know me. Because one line that gets me all the time when I think about it right now is that when you have a child, you basically are going to meet a stranger. And I think that stranger, that Dylan, was never met really deeply and taken care of and welcomed with love and intention. I mean, the intention were incredible. I've been saved from my family because the situation and the context was destructive. It was abandonment, destruction, and neglect. And even with that, I was still taken care of, and I was spending time with people. But this situation caused a natural effect of not being heard and really being met. And so that left a lot of time alone, where I was spending and reading and thinking and writing and playing video games and whatnot, consuming videos on YouTube. But I was able, when I was 16, to find a reframe for all of this, because I was gaining awareness, and probably you with this video or with your experiences, you also got that awareness too, that I'm being neglected, and there's something wrong here. There's something wrong with this context. And I'm not doing this video to I'm feeling, really good about all of what happened. I think it's the greatest opportunity I have in my life. At the same time, there's no one to blame besides a very bad choice from a parent. But I don't carry weight with that. I don't carry a negative weight because, again, I think it's the biggest opportunity that I've got in my life to build from that. But I'm sure, you know, from that 16 years old, feeling lonely and having all of this around me, I said, how can I transform this situation? And that's where at that age and all the time alone, I really got into a mantra of, I will transform this experience of neglect and all of the things that I don't like, that I would love to see in a family, because I had that inner knowledge. Instinctively, I said, this is wrong. And I said, I want to build a life or a family and become a father that doesn't, that shows up, that loves differently, that spends time differently. And so I was able to, in my mind, very young, and I urge you to do this too, to not be influenced by the circumstances that you have today to build the future, or to be pessimistic and to leave everything hanging and to buy into the nihilism that we all have around, or into drugs and alcohol and partying and wasting your life in a carpe diem that doesn't build anything. But I urge you to create meaning out of that. And so for me, it was 16 years old. I said, this is not it. I don't like this. And I transformed it into a mantra. This is the greatest opportunity of my life. And this is a treasure because I can flip the script. And so with this mental alchemy, I was able to install a small seed in my mind, which is I feel I planted greatness. I planted a positive ideal out of a destructive situation. So being the witness of loneliness, neglect in a family, I've been able to, in my mind, change the ideal and the vision to say, I want to build a family that doesn't have this. And so flipping the script. And so with some of the notes that I have here, I've seen, you know, the patches of all of this time shared with family and people that wasn't really true and honest, and people weren't really meeting me. And so I said, this is where I want to change my conditions. And as I also feel in our circumstances as young people, God is dead, like Nietzsche said. Family don't really understand you, and I've had this same experience, and I have this to this day. Society doesn't support you, school doesn't understand how to give you the tools to live life, and you're lost into this fear towards the future and this nihilism and this kind of carpe diem that I mentioned before. But I believe it's not healthy, because what we're doing as young people, we're building in our minds a carpe diem of let's live emotion, experiences and situations that are just removing the numbness, the lack of care, the lack of love and connection that we miss. We don't have it in any personal space with friends. You don't have it in school with our professors, with our mentors and teachers. We don't have it with maybe even our relationships with our families, which should, you know, where we should have the deepest connections. And so if you felt, like I said in the introduction, with this kind of fear towards the future, I think there is a flip of the script that we can do. And again, I feel there is this disturbing guest. I was reading this book from Umberto Galimberti, an incredible, I guess, a writer and a teacher in Italy, actually. And he shares what we can do as young people also to not really kick out, but to at least see and be aware of this disturbing guest that is nihilism. So nihilism is this, you know, feeling of there's nothing to be done in this life and there's no meaning that we can create, and so I give into all of the, you know, this carpe diem of let's just enjoy the day, let's just enjoy that experience. And so we fall into drugs, we fall into terrible music and numbing music, we fall into bad habits, we drink in, we sleep in, we don't enjoy simple moments in nature, and so we lose all the meaning and we lose all the potential that we can build in life. And I was writing here in some of my notes, we are building a carpe diem that is not lived as a constructive upward spiral, truly creating moments and opportunities that have meaning in your life. So this carpe diem becomes more of a desperate approach to grasp at anything that can make you feel more than numbness, nothingness, and a lack of connection you feel deep within you. So the music, the drinking, the drugs, social media, the constant consumption is the only way to breathe in a world that doesn't welcome or understand you. And yeah, I feel you. I felt this and I still feel it. And the only way that I was able to work around this was to start small and eat the big elephant piece by piece, and starting to do this mental alchemy with all the areas of life. And so in the case of my family, I flip the script into I will transform myself into the best father I can, and changing the family and changing the context into the best way possible, into the best of my ability. There's also one other quote that I think is really important, which is from a very close friend. He actually sent a message to me about this. He said to me, take care without worrying. But I would say, if you can, like, taking care is really trying to find meaning, and so flipping the script and having this ideal in your mind is caring. And so don't give in into not caring, into that cynicism and nihilism that affects everyone, because that's where I think a lot of human potential in life is completely lost. And instead of building resentment and this approach towards family, again, I carefully analyze what I didn't want to embody. So what you can do is, you can, in your mental alchemy exercise, you can figure out what you don't like to see around you in relationships, in family, in school, in work, and try to find a vision and finding ways you can have an impact. And in the same way, I thought about family and this transformation of family and fatherhood into what I've seen, in my personal experience. I've also realized that, we can do a mental reframe and into the fullness of life, and that's why that this video exists and this byHumans exists, and the way I'm trying to share with you is just an attempt to finding opportunity, because life is hard, to give the tools to people to figure out better solutions that are just better than fuck it, or I don't care. And the family example is a big one, of course, but in the same way, with this mental reframe and this mental alchemy, I was able to do the same, I believe, at least I'm trying to do it with byHumans, with this kind of videos, because if life is hard, and to give in would be, I don't want to understand myself, I don't want to understand my surroundings and life in general, and how I can make a better and fulfilling human life. So without stressing too much about it, I still want to find tools and opportunity to improve my life, and that's my attempt to create byHumans, and with the basic understanding that life is really hard, and you need tools and ways to a toolkit to actually live a better life, a more meaningful life. That's why I'm building byHumans with my friends. And I believe the coolest thing that you can do is, despite the conditions, to become. So despite the bad conditions of family, the bad condition of society, the bad conditions in your relationship, to still be able to transform is going to create the biggest meaning, because the gap between what is now and what you can become, and you reaching it, has the biggest amount of meaning you can extract from life. So the transformation, the hero journey, call it how you want. And so my personal story of how I lived a family, and how I tried to, and I think I've been able to make it a catalyst for growth. You can do the same for any area of your life, and I really urge you to do this exercise. So instead of giving in, start understanding what you don't like about what you see around you. Build a list, a mind map of all of these things, and start saying, despite these bad conditions and these things, how can I flip the script and transform my life? And that's going to give you a lot of opportunity to create a vision board or some dream, and really figure out how you want to live this life. So I have some of the other notes, because I really want to share with you everything. There's also some, I suggest you, if you're Italian, you can read this book, Umberto Galimberti, on the nihilism and young people. I can also share with you some of my further notes on nihilism for sure. But knowledge, understanding of yourself and culture are things that are going to help you to avoid the path of just drinking, partying, and numbing yourself into nothingness, and having the feeling of a life without any meaning and any substance. I can share with you the mantra that I've always had since I was 16, after that realization of, I don't like this, I want to change it. And I said to myself, I don't have a dad figure in my life, but I will transform this into the greatest gift of my life, the greatest treasure, by becoming the best dad I can. And another exercise that I think could be really helpful for you, it's a vision board where you see the most important areas of your life. I'm not talking a vision board of, YouTubers that tell you, put the fucking car, your dream house. In this vision board, there's nothing about objects. There's nothing about material success. There's only context in your life that you want to see transformed. So family, I'm talking you, your personal growth, your relationships. I'm talking about your partnership with, maybe even the best friends that you have. And especially your commitment towards this thing. So try to create a vision board in your phone, your computer, or in a drawing, in a piece of paper. Find a way to create a vision board where you see how you want to change, how you relate to people, how you want to see your family to grow, how you want to see your relationship, and also your commitment towards improving those areas. Really have a vision of how this could change in the next decade. And the last thing I also want to share with you is how I've done the same exercise for life in general, but also family. And for me, I got more clarity on how I wish I could have, spent time with family, and how I wish I was treated. The first thing was really being listened to, really being loved and welcomed, because as I said in the start of the video, or in very early stage of the video, to be a stranger, when you're born and you're just a stranger to anybody, even your parents, and they get to meet you, and they should greet you and meet you. And so really being listened to is a huge thing, and getting to meet me as Dylan really deeply. And then being recognized who I really am, and being treated for someone who is growing and changing, not a static relict or wreck, So I was feeling also set into my, the belief system of other people was applied to me. And so Dylan is never changing, or you are this, you always ate this way, you always thought this way, you always said this thing. And so there's a staticness, if that's the word, for how I was perceived and how communication was given. Instead, I'm an ever-changing human. So getting to meet me and greet me, it's a constant, and it should be nurtured and nourished as a relationship, of course. And then being welcome, not a continuous impediment to the experience. And so in lunches, in family moments, or in events, or like even just a walk or any moment, I always felt a lot like an impediment in my life, and so I don't want to see that in my family. And a last note to anybody who's listening to this and maybe resonating a lot with what I'm saying, or maybe learning a lot. I would say to you, if like me, you didn't have somebody that was a reference in your life, in your family, but to me, there's potential of this, because you can do so much more. There's like a blank canvas. And so if you didn't have an anchor in the family, a point of reference, you can pour into the ideal role anything you want. The canvas is completely empty and blank, and that's really, really important, because you're not going to have a reference that you can never get to, like a dad that was awesome, and you don't know how to get to that level or how to do better, so you have always this comparison mechanism. You have nothing in that sense, and so that's amazing, because you have an opportunity and you have more space to create what's truly your greatest expression. So for me, as fatherhood is really important in my ideal, if I can be a father, of course, if I will be, is I don't have any reference, and so the blank canvas will give me the best opportunity to become my greatest self-expression into that context. And so I believe you can find reference also outside of family, but it's the greatest opportunity if you don't have one. Trust me, like it's liberating in a sense, because people who've had it perfect are also more lost, because they have to face the complexity and the understanding who they really want to be, and comparing, and with these mechanisms are maybe more complicated. You have more simplicity, but you have no reference, but you can find reference even outside. So another suggestion for you is, for me, I was young, I was very early in my growth and in my mindset, and at 16 I was watching YouTube videos, and I was trying to find, with an inner instinct of what is ideal, what would an ideal father or man or grown-up person do? And so I would see maybe people on YouTube saying certain things about work and ethics, certain things about training and health, or about family and fatherhood and responsibility and taking care of your people, community, knowledge. And so I tried to find references that were around me, even beyond family and partners of my mom, or like kind of like a dad figure, but really expand that. And as we have internet, you can do this quite a lot. The only issue is that the complexity there's a level of information, you know, where it's very difficult to find the right point of reference outside without knowing them, because you also get to know a part of them. So as you're listening to this video, you're probably getting to know a part of me, but not the entirety of my thinking and my values and belief system. All of this to say, try with the best of your ability, with instinct, to find the best principles and the best values and the best characteristics you see around, even outside of your family and other references, so you can build your own version of that. And so outside of having, you know, just a blank canvas, you can also get references and then build with the right instincts your best expression of becoming a father, becoming a friend, becoming a partner, and or, you know, colleague, or whatever you are thinking of. So honestly, I went a lot off script. I wanted to do a video that was maybe a bit more structured, but I wanted to really share a personal story that you could relate to. I wanted to share how I thought about this mental alchemy, but to be honest, and I'm really happy that I got to, you know, into this flow and I could share a bit more. I would say to you, and I would urge you to live life with an interest towards improvement and transformation in a positive way. So don't give in nihilism, don't give into this numbness and into this, you know, like missed connection between people and the space around you. Create it, find ways to just create it and out of nothing. So for me, I'm trying to create meaning with doing this video, and even though it's just gonna maybe do a couple views or nobody is gonna listen to it, I'm still trying to do something for me and to connect with people and to have an impact. And in the same way, and I think maybe more meaningfully, in a sense that I can see the direct impact, because this will take quite a while to build byHumans, but I would say conversations with my friends, I try to go really deep and to understand them, to listen to them, to become better, and to not giving into, let's say, just staying with them and having fun and spending time together, but not really going deep into building something with these people. And so basically all social leisure of going out and drinking and doing some stupid shit, and without really creating opportunity for conversation, for opening, for love, for connection. And in the same way, I urge you to do this with family too, as long as you can, as much as you can. I also set personal boundaries with that, but try to build an ideal of what you want to see and try to implement it with the situations that you have. So with partners, friends, with your family members and people you have around, and don't give up, and try to create a vision of what you want to see, be the change you want to see in the world. Take it with pride and be consistent. You're going to see a lot of flourishment around you. I'm really honest. I've seen this. I see this in my relationship and friendships, which I'm really proud of. I see improvements in the family relationship, even though the situation is what it is. You know, the conditions I was given and the conditions we are in are those. But even work and studying and like school, and there's a lot of value and a lot of fun and a lot of adventure and a lot of love you can build in life. And so don't give in into desperation and nihilism. So that's what I can say to you. With this being said, if you want to, I don't know, if you like this kind of personal stories and giving into more of a flow, kind of like what I feel in this period, or me sharing books and resources and notes, let me know if there's any other topic that would be interesting. I think this was one of the most interesting conversation I wanted to have, and I hope that I can see you in the next video. And as always, with love for humans, byHumans. See you in the next one.